Hello everybody, good afternoon and a very warm welcome to the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour. That's right, the wait is over, the winter has been long and round one is here. My name is Paul Jeffrey. I'm delighted to be joined by my colleague Alex Legui down there on pit lane. We'll be speaking to Alex in a few moments time, but before we get going for the racing, let's have a little word from some of our drivers, find out what the stories are before we go racing. Alex, over to you.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour. Here we are, it's the Race of Mexico, the first of our 8 rounds. This is race 1. We had a very exciting qualifying earlier on. The gentleman behind me who sits on pole position took it by 72 thousandths of a second over Jan Erlacher. He had one shot, he went out, messed up his first lap, nailed it in the second. Brilliant, brilliant result for Esteban Guerrieri and Goat Racing. But it's not easy here, as BRC Hyundai N Squadra Corse have found out. They are having all sorts of issues. They're having engine issues, suspension issues, the works, and it means that our 3 key BRC boys are right back down there. Not good for Norby, who is here defending his title. I'm going to have a little chat, though, to Jan Erlacher. So as you can see, he and his fellow compadre, Ted Bjork, is right beside him, who will no doubt be helping him. 72 thousandths of a second behind Esteban Guerrieri. So you know you have the power, you know you have the pace, but can you get down to that corner before he does?
Yeah, actually, the power, not sure yet, but we have the pace in the car. We have done a race run yesterday, a race sim to see the balance of the car, so we have tuned the car from that feedback. So we are pretty confident. It's not an easy one. They have a strong pace in straight, so we'll have to make a difference at the beginning and maybe at the start if I can dive, but it's going to be difficult. I need to do a good start, and Sector 2, when you are in the dirt here, is a bit complicated. But
as you go down to that first corner and you're racing somebody like Esteban, you absolutely know that he is not going to take his foot off the throttle, neither are you. Which one of you is going to play chicken?
Actually, we know each other for a long time, so we know how we race hard but fair, so I'm looking forward for this battle. It's going to be interesting. There is a couple of guys quick behind us as well, so I mean, it's going to be intense to watch, and we will try to make the best out of it.
We can't wait to watch it. It is going to be intense, it's going to be exciting, it's going to be very cool. And like I say, it helps the fact that he has got Ted Bjork right behind him. Ted was a bridesmaid last year, P2 in the championship, desperate to get that title back that he won in 2017. He wants it again. So the gloves are fully off. There's obviously no team orders at this stage. They support each other, but it is full pedal to the floor. Nacho here. Now this is young Nacho. He's just joined the championship. Ignacio Montenegro. You would think that he's young. He's, you know, maybe not had the experience, but that's not true. This boy won TCR Spain champion. He was the TCR South American champion. And here you are racing your first World TCR race right up with their big guns. You're row, well, 2, 3, 4, what are we? 4, P4? That's not a bad place to start.
Not bad at all, P4 in the first race of the TCR World Tour, so I'm really happy to be here. I'm gonna enjoy a lot as a kid because I have this opportunity to race with these guys who they are really talented guys and they are really strong. So yeah, I'm gonna enjoy. I'm gonna try to do the best start as possible and then try to do a good pace and catch Esteban.
Good. I cannot wait to watch your race. Best of luck, Nacho. Santi Urrutia is there. Who will also be helping his fellow teammates. Now I want to walk down here because I want to introduce, so we've got 24 cars on the grid. We've got 14 racing in the World Tour this weekend. We've got some Mexicans joining us, 3 Mexicans, and we're going to have a little chat over here to Julio Rejon, who is obviously a local. He knows the track really well. He's a really good peddler. He's here with his brother, who is actually only right behind him, so that's going to help matters. So here you are on the world stage, Julio. You know the track more than anybody else, or certainly of our boys. So what can we learn from you, and how's it going to look?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of laps here, but in an endurance type of racing, so I'm going to try to have an advantage in the overtaking points in the track, but let's see how we do.
I can't wait. Vamos. Good. Very excited to see how he gets on. So, we've spoken about BRC Hyundai N Squadra Corse. They're somewhere down there, far too far away. One of the issues is that we're having issues with altitude, or one of the issues is that the performance of the engines. So we are at 2,200 meters above sea level. So that massively impacts not only the engines in the cars, but also there'll be a certain degree of tyre drop-off that we wouldn't have seen in qualifying, but we will now see in the race. Not only that, but altitude affects the drivers. I mean, they're obviously world-level drivers, so it's not going to affect them the same way that it affects you or I. I've been struggling to walk up and down stairs. But it does have an impact. Just speaking to Jan just before the race started, he was like, I feel tired. It's close. It's hard work. It's going to be really, really hard work out there. Let's see if we can catch who's out and about. Normally they're out at this stage. Any Santi? He's not in? Do you want to have a look? Come and have a look in here. And you can just see there's varying different steering wheels. You can see the different buttons that are on the steering wheel, the things that he has to navigate. Thankfully in the center there, you've got a map. That's useful. As you can see, that 1.2 kilometers straight down to that first corner. Then we've got this S-bend that the guys go through, that's through this brilliant stadium section. You'll see it on the cameras, it looks awesome. But it's one of the trickiest parts of the circuit. If the boys don't nail that coming into that first part, then that ruins it for that whole sector. So that really impacts sector times. We saw that massively in qualifying. That's going to be a big part to watch and a big section where we're going to struggle during the race because there's no overtaking. This is going to be where the big overtaking is. Right, last year, P2 in the title. This is your year, right?
It feels like it,
does.
you know, but I feel like that every year.
Yeah, that's true.
And everybody around me feels the same, that it's their year. And this is just the first race, you know,
Right.
but it's great to be here in Mexico, starting a new season, together with all these great drivers. I'm really happy.
Now, you're one of the oldies now. You know these drivers very, very well, other than Nacho, who's just beside you. You've got an idea also of the, I guess, the feeling in the paddock when seeing what's going on with the qualifying. So you know what you're up against roughly. Certainly you guys in this top 6 are really close. Yeah. So what do you anticipate out of this race, certainly going to that first corner?
No, but it's a long way to the first corner.
Yeah.
That will be a little bit the first scary part.
Yeah.
So if we can go through the first corner together with the field, it will be fine. But I'm expecting that, you know, maybe not. And then it's actually a long race. 20 laps on this circuit is tough for us and the cars.
When we've had a conversation in the past, did you know that Ted Bjork visualizes the circuit when he's in the car? Do you still do that?
Yeah, I do that. Mental training.
Will you?
Yeah, I do it from top and then I go all the way down to where I'm driving.
I love it. Little fun fact for you. Good. Enjoy. Kick butt. Enjoy, team. Well, how long have we got? Can we keep talking? We can try and have a little sneak into Esteban and see what he's up to. Back. I thought I would just catch a quick word with you. We've heard from Jan. He reckons that he can make it to that corner before you. What do you think?
Jan can make a better start, he said. Well, he's always trying to punch me, you know. But I mean, we have experience. We know what we are here for. Hold on, that my engineer is talking. Sorry, I have to disconnect. My engineer was talking. But yeah, it's a long way to turn one. It's difficult to make a start, as I said before, because the low pressure here. So yeah, it's crucial. Let's see how it goes.
Vamos. Let's not forget as well, race 1, determines the grid for race 2. So the top 10 in race 1, reversed, determines race 2. Then the combined points from qualifying race 1 and race 2 determine the grid for race 3. So this is really important. So it's going to be a great race. Where better to start than Mexico for round 1 of the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour? Buckle up, engines on, let's get racing!
Fantastic stuff. Alex Legui down there on the grid in Mexico City at the wonderful Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, a Formula One venue, but this time playing host to the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour. For the very first time in 2025, I can finally say those magical words, the words I have waited all winter to say. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's get ready to go motor racing. We have got a festival of touring car action in front of us. 24 TCR touring cars are lining up on the grid, 14 of whom are part of the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour, and then we're joined by 10 TCR Mexico competitors, making for one wonderful grid of touring car drivers. There's some great racing, there's some great teams, there's some great drivers, and there are some great fans on site, and we're here for every single moment of them as the drivers line up on the grid, just preparing, trying desperately to keep cool. It's incredibly warm in Mexico, of course. That's going to be an element that our drivers need to contend with, as Alex mentioned. We're 2,200 metres above sea level, so it's hard work physically. It's hard work on the machinery as well. The drivers are going to have to give absolutely every fibre of their being in order to perform to the absolute maximum over the course of this next 30-minute race. And anybody that joined us for qualification earlier today, first and foremost, well done you. It was a great session. It was great to have you with us, and it did lead to an interesting grid, a grid that perhaps coming into this one, maybe not everybody expected. Esteban Gurrieri on fine fettle for GOAT Racing, the Honda Civic looking rapid at the head of the pack, but dangerously for Gurrieri, dangerously for GOAT Racing. Between himself and teammate Nacho Montenegro, there are not one, but two Lynk & Co Cyan Racing machines. It is, of course, double champion Jan Ellershey starting in second, and this man, Ted Bjork, in third position. Alex spoke to Ted already on the grid. A fine vein of form for Ted Bjork, carried through from 2024 into 25. This is going to be a big year for the Swedish driver, and this is going to be a monumental year for that man, Nacho Montenegro. A very young Argentine driver, won at home in TCR South America, won in TCR Spain, went up to the FIA Motorsport Games, won that one as well. Raced in TCR Europe in 2025 to great success. Now he's stepped up onto the world stage. It's a natural progression for Montenegro, it has to be said. Despite still being a teenager, he's already wise beyond his years and as rapid as anybody in a touring car. He's going to be one to watch, just like that man there, Santiago Urrutia. Another driver to very much keep our eyes out for, starting on the third row of the grid in fifth position. Sante will be keen to get a good start, put himself amongst his two Lynk & Co Cyan Racing teammates ahead, because we spoke about this a little in qualifying, and I dare say we'll speak about it some more, but there is a little bit of tactics, a little bit of strategy, a little bit of politics at play. If you can be the forerunner for your team, you're the point man that everybody takes a look at. Aurelian Comte is the forerunner for his team, it has to be said. A big warm TCR World Tour welcome to SP competition. Brand new team in the championship this year. Aurelian Comte heading up that team alongside John Filippi. John moving over from Volcano Motorsports, where he spent last season, back behind the wheel of a Cupra. And Felipe and Aurelian Comte have both proven to be incredibly competitive in the small amount of track action that we've had so far this year. Keep your eyes on those drivers. Marcin Hua, another driver there that 2024 was reasonable for Mar, I think it's fair to say. He had a pretty strong season, took a race victory, only 8th in the driver's standing, so opportunities knocking for the Chinese driver. And then Julio Rejon, that we saw there. A champion in TCR Mexico, racing under the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour banner this weekend and doing an absolutely sterling job for the Pro Rally Mothers team. Up there in 8th position, brother Rodrigo in 10th. So let's have a look at the starting grid. It's Esteban Gurrieri from Jan Elishay, Ted Bjork and Nacho Montenegro rounding out your first 4 drivers. Then we see Santiago Urrutia in 5th, just ahead of Aurelien Comte, with Marcin Guar and Julio Rejon in 7th and 8th positions respectively. Starting out at P9 will be John Felipe alongside Rodrigo Rejon, and then Michel Jourdain Jr. starts 11th, just ahead of reigning champion Norbert Michaelis. Bebu Girolami and Mikel Azcona make it a Hyundai 12, 13, 14 ahead of Sierra, and then Shigot in 16th position. Position number 17 goes the way of Creole with Zaste and Zanella and Dominguez in 20th. American Sloan starts in 21st position, just ahead of Jimenez in 22nd place. And then down in 23rd position, we have another one of the Zasti Racing VP Garage 34 cars alongside the MM Racing Machine. 24th and last. 24 cars, 1 grid, 1 motor race, and a whole lot of good times coming our way very, very soon. Right then, you're watching this one on the TCR TV YouTube channel. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Paul Jeffrey. Alex LeGuy will be down there on pit lane and on pit road to talk to the movers and shakers that we need to speak to. It is a pleasure to have your company from start of the 2025 Kumho FIA TCR World Tour season. Make sure you give us a follow on social media. Plenty of insight, plenty of background around the world of TCR World Tour that you can enjoy at your leisure. But for the here and now, we have a small matter of a 30-minute plus 1 lap motor race to enjoy. The first of 3 this weekend. Back in action again on Saturday, 17:10 UTC. And the final race of the weekend will take place on Sunday, the 4th of May at 11 AM UTC. Make sure you don't go anywhere for those. Make sure you don't go anywhere for this one, because I reckon we're in for a bit of a cracking motor race in front of us. Lots of drivers with lots to prove. First race of the season always gives a bit of the jitters, a little bit of nervousness, especially with 2 races still to come. A lot of our drivers are using this as their first opportunity to draw a line in the sand against their rivals, to let the world know that they are competing at the highest level and at the very, very front of the grid. The big question is, will it be Honda or Lincoln Co-Power that charges us down into that T1? It's a long start-finish straight. There is a pinch point into the first section of corners. Who will be the bravest of them all? Will it be Esteban Gurrieri? Will it be Jan Elishay? Or can we get a surprise from further back? My advice, don't look further than in Nacho Montenegro. The young Argentine is going to be very hungry indeed to take a few scalps at the start of this race. A little bit further back, keep your eyes on Aurelien Comte as well in 6th position. The Cooper driver on debut in the World Tour will be very enthusiastic about making some early moves up the running order. And of course, big story from qualifying, already touched upon in pre-show by Alex LeGuy. BRC Hyundai N Squadra Corsa. Where is the pace of those cars? There needs to be forward momentum for Hyundai. They've got to salvage something from this weekend. And just to remind you, of course, going into race number 2, the grid is set by the reverse of the top 10 for race number 1. A little bit of a change from our usual format, so scoring well, getting into the top 10 in this first race will be vital for your prospects for the weekend going forward. 4 onboard cameras for you over the course of the event today. Norbert Michaelis, Aurelien Comte, Esteban Gurrieri and Santiago Urrutia will be carrying our little live eye within the cockpit. Hopefully that's going to pick us up plenty of exciting action as this race unfolds, and it's about to unfold very soon indeed as the last of the cars now are making their way to the grid. It's already Esteban Gurrieri and Jan Elishay in the front of the field. We're lining up and preparing. It's been a long winter, folks, and I'm very, very happy to be back trackside again as we see what our stars of the World Tour can produce. Final cars then, coming into position. That's the Racing Honda. Lining up in 24th and last position. TCR Mexico joining the World Tour this weekend, of course. Great to be with our TCR Mexico competitors. But now, the moment you have all been waiting for. The 2025 Kumho FIA TCR World Tour is about to get very exciting indeed. The lights are on, the timing tower, and in a few moments' time, things are going to get noisy, things are going to get exciting, and the 2025 season kicks off in full. Yellow flags waving at the back of the pack for somebody's had a bit of a dramatic start. Jan Aleshay's up there as well at the front of the field. Esteban Gurrieri not getting a start at all. Gurrieri from pole position disappears from shot completely. That is a nightmare for Esteban. That is the 112 currently leading our pack. Santiago Urrutia, what a start. Further down, Rayon having to go on to the runoff area, rejoins in a very excitable position mid-pack. A couple of the Hyundai drivers avoiding the carnage as well. Everybody makes their way through relatively unscathed. Goat Racing watching on, looking a little bit nervous. Is Pepe Ariola? What's happened to his charge? Esteban Gurrieri. Let's get back to the track action though in a few moments' time. Who survives unscathed? At the head of the field, it is Santiago Urrutia. Jan Aleshay in second position, Rehan in third, and then Aurelian Comte already up to fourth place. That's a really strong start for Aurelian Comte. Mikel Azcona making his way through the pack as well. Azcona, remember, damage to that car in qualification. Mechanical issues really preventing any forward momentum. He started down in 19th place. Looking a lot better than that one as things stand. In fact, is that Michel Jourdain Jr.? No, it's not. It can't be Michel Jourdain Jr. Surely being so far up the field, hopefully that one will clear itself up on the timing tower and we'll find out exactly what is happening. I know my timing is certainly going very excitable indeed. But one thing we do know, it is Santi Urrutia at the front of the field. Oh, massive contact there. And Nacho Montenegro loses the rear corner of his Honda Goat Racing machine. What a disaster. What happened to Nacho there? But that is a big contact. Hopefully the Argentine driver is fit and well, but that is a massive piece of contact for Nacho Montenegro. It's falling apart for Goat Racing. There is Gurrieri, we can see, having been delayed off the start, still a big pack. But what a nightmare start to this race for the Honda squad. It looks so good in qualification. It's all gone very wrong indeed. Montenegro, thankfully, gets the car well off the side of the racetrack, so hopefully we can avoid any kind of safety car intervention. But Ruben Fernandez there, Pepe Ariola as well, the face of disappointment. It's palpable in the Goat Racing pit lane. It looks so good to start this race, and it's gone so wrong. Let's take another look then. There's Montenegro, catches the curb on the inside. The damage was already done. You can see the rear of the Honda very close for one of the BRC drivers as well to not collect the back of that machine, but the damage already done on Nacho Montenegro's car before we came to that incident. Very unusual incident there for Nacho Montenegro. Hopefully we can see that one again or from a different position. Not sure what happened, but I'm very much sure of the end result. And Nacho Montenegro out of contention, out of this race already. That's a real turn up for the books. Also a real turn up for the books. I didn't misread this one. I have no idea how he did it. Michel Jourdain Jr. is up in the 5th position. That is quite the start for the former Champ Car driver. Of course, and the time of the touring cars as well. Very well indeed as the 48-year-old. Well inside the top 10. Jan Aleshay is our race leader from Santi Urrutia. Aurelian Comte in 3rd position. Let's take another look at that start. What happened there? A few drivers very slow off the line, not least of which is John Philippi there. Esteban Gurrieri as well that we saw in the front of the field. Almost like the front 2 rows were in slow motion as everybody else very quickly made their way through. So not a clean start by any stretch of the imagination. An absolutely glorious, a gift-wrapped situation for Jan Aleshay. and takes over the race lead. You didn't see that on the screen, but Jan Aleshe, Santiago Urrutia swap positions. Aurelian Comte up there in third. Michel Jourdain Jr. in fourth position. Ted Bjork's in there as well. In fact, Bjork pops up in fourth place now. Timing screens are definitely having themselves a right old time of it. Not quite keeping up with the drama. Can't blame them. There's plenty of drama on track. But we'll try and unpick it as best as we possibly can, as that is a move position. That's Ma Qinghua. Great spot for Ma. Finds his way past Esteban Gurriere. Just behind him, number Nicholas Miklaf-Kona as well, keeping a watching brief. But he makes it through nicely. The two Hyundai drivers need to work out exactly how they're going to attack this one, and do so quickly. The worst thing you can do around this Mexico City circuit is indecision. You've got to work with the traffic. You have to work with your teammates. Slipstream is your very, very best friend. Hyundai drivers may find themselves in a little bit of strife. You can see Julio Rejon now trying to find a way past. Far ahead is Michel Jourdain Jr. So still in fifth position. Good start for both of those drivers. Rejon as well, of course, racing under Kumho FIA TCR World Tour banner this weekend, so not looking at the TCR Mexico standings for himself. This is all about individual glory. Same for Michel Jourdain Jr. as well. Both drivers trying very, very hard indeed to find a little bit of racetrack, a little bit of space, because the harder they squabble, of course, the more detached from the leading pack that they're going to become. And that's going to be a problem, of course, because you really need to stay in touch. If you've got Jan Aleshe, Santiago Urrutia, Aurelian Comte in front of you, your job needs to be concentrating on them, not each other. As we take a look now for the inside, Rejon tries to find a little bit of gap. Jourdain Jr. though has that one covered. Will he be vulnerable on the second attempt though? Rejon to the inside, I think he's going to get that one done and dusted. Michel Jourdain Jr. no real opportunity to counterance that manoeuvre. Good bit of driving from both of those drivers, and there we go, that is confirmation. Michel Jourdain Jr. drops another position. Julio Rejon then building on that impressive qualification performance, and in free practice too, it has to be said, is now showing through in the racing as well. As at the front of the field we have a little swap set. Jan Aleshe just swapping positions with Santiago Urrutia. More strategic play than anything else, both of those drivers absolutely dictating the pace at the front of the field. They've got a relatively comfortable gap to Aurelian Comte behind. So it's more about managing temperatures, managing pace, using the slipstream to each other's benefit as well, if at all possible. Just working out exactly how this one's going to fall. You would not want to be the team manager at Lincoln Co. Cyan Racing, it has to be said, because that's going to be a strategic nightmare. It is though. Santiago Urrutia leading Jan Aleshe at this moment in time. That's Ted Bjork. Ted down in fourth position. Not an ideal start to the race for Ted. Drops one to Aurelian Comte. And of course, your racing cars around you, temperatures are building, tyres are wearing out a little bit more. You're wearing out a little bit more as well in these high altitude, high temperature circumstances of Mexico. So Bjork, he'll be interested to see what he can learn about Aurelian Comte as quickly as possible and try and redress the balance and drop himself back into that provisional bottom step of the podium. While at the front of the field, Jan Aleshe lines up on Santiago Urrutia. Expect to see a bit of a change around between teammates here. It's a terribly long start-finish straight here in Mexico. Slipstream absolutely will be an advantage if you're running close to each other. Expect to see Aleshe poke his nose to the inside, and I don't think Santiago Urrutia will defend this one too hard at this stage. In fact, actually, Jan Aleshe doesn't quite have the overlap, so it's as you were at the front of the field. Urrutia from Aleshe, Aurelian Comte in third, Ted Bjork fourth, and then fifth and sixth position go the way of Julio Rejon, Michel Jourdain Jr. Nico then watching on from afar. Frederick Wallen there, keeping his eye on his charges. It's been a decent start to the race. Cyan Racing Lincoln Co. It has to be said. First and second position, and fourth place just a little bit further back with Ted Bjork. Where is Ma? Down there in ninth position is Ma. So good place potentially for a race 2 starting position. Well, what was it Andy Prio once said? Every point you can take, you take it when you can. And that's exactly what these drivers will be doing now, as Jan Aleshe thinks about the outside line. Santiago Urrutia though doesn't want to play that team game at this moment in time, and may have to I may have to take back my earlier statement. Maybe this is not so much team play. The body language of these two Lincoln Co's does suggest that we're perhaps not quite playing the game as much as we would like to be doing. And I do think we've got a bit of a motor race on. 20 minutes left on the clock plus 1 lap. The big thing is though, folks, while these two cars are squabbling, that's allowing the likes of Aurelian Comte, the likes of Ted Bjork behind to start closing that gap. So this can't carry on for long. This is really going to be difficult times for the Lincoln Co drivers unless they come to some kind of agreement, some kind of plan. We'll get this one worked out very quickly indeed. Let's have a look a bit further down the running order. There is Mar, full pass your screen in that 9th position. Sorry, moved to 8th position now. Rodrigo Rayon takes over that spot. 10th place in this moment in time, Bebu Girolami. So it's been a decent start for the BRC Hyundai N Squadra Corsa team. Girolami there in 10th, teammate Nicholas and Afcona 11th and 12th respectively behind. So relatively solid start. They've managed to avoid most of the dramas, and that's key to touring car races. You know as well as I, stay out of trouble. Only a few laps and you will probably be finding yourself in a reasonable position. And that's exactly the tactic for BRC at this moment in time. Very keen to get as many cars as they can up into that top 10 for the reverse grid race number 2. Oh, a little bit of contact between Elishay and Arrutia there through the stadium section. No harm, no foul for both drivers. Both get away with that one. But again, if any message needed to be sent to Cyan Lincoln Co. to say, hey, this is dangerous having your two guys so close together, that's a pretty good message to send. Light contact between both cars. They're still withholding that gap. In 3rd position is Aurelian Comte, 2.5 seconds further back. Crucially though for Aurelian, he's just outside the line of fire from Ted Bjork, so he can concentrate on forward momentum. It's not going to take long though for Ted, I don't think, to be really invested in that little battle for the bottom step of the podium. And while Ted Bjork's trying to find his way past Aurelian Comte, let's take a little replay of the contact that we saw between our two race leaders, teammates as well. Just heading into the stadium, little snatch break from Jan Elishay, and the lightest, oh so lightest of touches between the two. A right smile, I'm sure, no one's too concerned about that one. But it's working very well indeed so far. Cyan Racing Lincoln Co. through the field. Light contact for Arrutia, just showing how hard it's pushing with the tyre stacks. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of play in there, so we don't need to worry too much about it. But now look at this one. This is an opportunity and 3/4 for Jan Elishay. Goes one way, goes the other. Arrutia working on the wheel, trying to keep that car on the brakes in a straight line. Now to the outside, the French driver. It will become the inside. He doesn't have the real estate, doesn't have the racing room. Has to go the other way around the tyre stack. He'll have to give that one up, will Jan Elishay. I am absolutely sure of it, unless he's going to risk the wrath of our race stewards. Elishay is the race leader. How long is this going to be for though? Santi Arrutia would not have enjoyed that one whatsoever. The wise play is to give this position up, to be entirely certain that the stewards aren't going to have something to say about it. But Jan Elishay doesn't look too enthusiastic. Arrutia now to the inside. This is a play for race lead. Santiago Arrutia, the Uruguayan driver, retakes that race lead. A little bit of secondary contact as well. And while they're squabbling, Aurelian Comte smells blood in the water. Opportunity knocks for Aurelian Comte. Let's take another look now. This is how the positions initially changed. It was deep for Santiago Arrutia. Elishay given no option but to try the outside line. Traditionally would become the inside, but there's a pesky tyre barrier. Elishay avoids any further contact, does theoretically take the race lead in a semi-artificial way, but they've re-swapped back over again, so all's fair in love and war, and Santiago Arrutia now knows he's got a race on his hands. There is going to be no quarter asked and no quarter given amongst teammates. Make no mistake about it, this is not formation flying, this is not orchestrated driving to the checkered flag, folks. This is a race for position between two drivers that would dearly like to very much affirm the fact they're the number one choice in their respective team. So far it's advantage Arrutia. He's got track position, But how long is it going to last for? In fact, come back to that point. There were some yellow flags waving. Yes, there we can see the yellow flags on our screen. And I think, yep, we are under safety car conditions. And that, folks, is why. A tyre barrier can be flexible to a certain amount, but a few hits too many, and it becomes dislodged. And that's the right manoeuvre, of course. Track marshals will get out there on track very quickly indeed and get that one rectified so we can go racing again. Hopefully Lincoln Co's timing screens are better than mine, because otherwise they're going to be very surprised when it has no reflection towards the racing positions. And yes, take a moment's breath and let's have a bit of a recap. 15 minutes left on the clock. Santiago Urrutia, Jan Elysée, pretty much painted together as one, I think you'll agree, over the last couple of laps, are fighting very hard indeed at the front of the pack. This is an absolute gift to Aurelien Comte, though. That gap was hovering in and around the 2-second mark. Well, eradicate all of that one in the safety car. Aurelien Comte, game on. Now it's the chance to push even harder for the big results. Ted Bjork is in 4th place, and then it is Julio Rejon in 5th position, just ahead of Esteban Gurrieri. Let's talk about Esteban for a moment. Decent recovery drive for the GOAT Racing Honda. Nightmare start from pole position. 6th place, though, is a very respectable place to find yourself with over half of the race still to run. Martin Hua doing good work up there in 7th. Michel Jourdain Jr. Remember the diamond star that Michel Jourdain Jr. got up in a 5th? Well, he's holding on very nicely indeed up there in 8th. And then it is Rayon Rodrigo in 9th position. And then Mikel Azcona leading the BRC Hyundai charge all the way up there in 10th position. A few moments then to catch our breath and assess matters before we go racing. Once again, biggest winners so far in this one, it's got to be Santi Urrutia. 4 places gained to be our race leader. Been a good start for Santi. One of the biggest losers is John Philippi. John, having lost 6 places from a reasonably solid top 10 qualification effort. Philippi still getting accustomed to team and car, it has to be said. Moved over from the Audi and Volcano Motorsports in 2024. Is with SP Competition, and the Cupra VZ, Sylvain Poussier, of course, of SP Competition, a racer himself. Very small team, started with very little, it's now grown to be a really, really strong touring car outfit. And they're doing a great job up there in 3rd position as we go green flag racing again. Fantastic work from the marshals here in Mexico City. As always, the Orange Army keep the show on the road. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't go racing. And if it wasn't for the pesky back corner of his car, actually Montenegro would have gone racing. And look at that one. Norbert Michelis, cat-like reactions to avoid collecting the back of the in-strife Honda Civic. Michelis doing great work there to stay in the race, and so far doing a very, very nice job indeed in and around the top 10. That's the fight that we saw just before the safety car intervention for our race lead. Jan Elysée, Santiago Urrutia almost as one. We've got 12 minutes and 1 lap to pick that one back up, and it's still Santiago Urrutia leading from Jan Elysée. Aurelien Comte not getting the best safety car restart, it has to be said. He's the thick end of a second in arrears down there in 3rd position, and probably more concentrated on Ted Bjork than he would be on the rear of Jan Elysée. In fact, there we go, that is Ted Bjork, very much following in the wheel tracks of the Cupra, trying to use the slipstream, trying to pressure his new rival into some kind of mistake. Julio Rejon doing an absolutely incredible job, it has to be said, but not quite good enough, because there comes Martin Hua. There goes any kind of racing rune, and that is an overtaking manoeuvre in the stadium section. Mar finds his way past. Wasn't the cleanest move, but it was effective. Julio Rejon drops 1 down into 7th position. Mar up there in the 6th place. And it's been a great recovery drive for the Chinese driver. Not happy after qualifying with the pace, but certainly finds it in the race. Let's have a look now at the front of the field. To the inside, to the outside, take your pick. Jan Elysée, don't hit the back of your teammate though. That's the only rule, and that's about as close as 2 touring cars are likely to get until they merge into one. A little bit further back as well, Ted Bjork likes what he sees, does a copycat manoeuvre, but achieves the pass. Aurelien Comte down in the 4th position. It is a Lincoln Co. Cyan Racing 1-2 and 3 as we head into the final 10 minutes of this lap in passive. And the Lincoln Co team watching on, they know there's a lot of motor racing still to go before we can consider this even remotely a comfortable position, not least of which is because Urrutia and Elishay are still glued together as one at the front of the field. No team orders at this moment in time, at least. It is anybody's fight, and I think Jan Elishay, stung as he was from a disappointing 2023 season, will be more than a little bit enthusiastic in finding his way past 3 wins, 5th overall in the Drivers' Championship for Jan Elishay. He'd dearly love to start his 25 campaign with another victory on the books. Good qualifying to be on the front row of the grid. A strong result will set the Frenchman up very nicely indeed in his quest to take his first Kumho FIA TCR World Tour. He's saying his first. It's a double champion, Paul. No, the first time under the World Tour bracket, and every single one of those has been won by Norbert Michaelis. So will we have a new champion? It's a long way to go with the first race weekend of the season. But Jan Elishay definitely has the target, definitely has the outside line, and most certainly is feeling incredibly brave indeed. Look at this one. 2 touring cars fitting in a gap where about 1 1/3 would normally go. Santiago Urrutia, say hello to your teammate. That's the way that you pass for the race lead. Jan Elishay, absolutely mesmeric in the number 168. Look at this one. Around the outside on the brakes, Urrutia desperately trying to run him out of racetrack at the very last possible moment. Gives enough breathing space to Jan Elishay, and what that has done, that has brought Ted Bjork, in fact, scratch that one. Ted, no messing about, immediately is launched. While we were watching the replay of the race lead, Ted Bjork's having his own little fight, moving up into 2nd position for the 111. That's some very decisive driving from Bjork. Up in a 2nd place. Urrutia now has Aurelien Comp for company. Aurelien Comp, for good measure, has behind the back of him a recovering Esteban Gurriere. Under the radar for the Argentine driver. He's now right back in this fight as well. Safety car interventions, we don't like to see them, but you know what? It really does close the pack up, and we are seeing some fantastic racing here. Jan Elishay completely checked out at the front of the field, and then it's Ted Bjork with, frankly, the rest of the grid trying to climb over the back of the yellow wing-mirrored 111 Lincoln Co Cyan racing machine. There you see the back of his shot, that is Esteban Gurriere, just looking for a little bit of clean air as he chases down Aurelien Comp. Some of that's for temperature, some of that's trying to find your way on the track placement, some of that's even filling the mirror of the car in front. And Esteban Gurriere, of course, has been around the block plenty of times. He knows every trick in the book. And Jan Elishay knows touring car drivers don't bring their car back with wing mirrors. Look at that one, precision driving, just to glance the barrier, knocks that wing mirror off. It's not going to be any problem though, because Jan Elishay's plan, don't be looking in those mirrors, push and try and get a gap to the chasing pack. Fantastic stuff there with 7 minutes and 1 second left, plus 1 lap on the clock of this opening encounter of 3 here for the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour. Rounds number 1, 2 and 3. We're going to be working our way through this weekend at the beautiful Mexico City Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez circuit here in Mexico. First race of the season, first race of the weekend, first race for a very long time since we left Macau. We've had a little bit more of the same. Touring car racing, elbows out, little bit of rat-a-tat-tat on the back of your rival's car, bit of controversy, somebody in the barriers, plenty of wild overtaking. Did you expect anything different? This is why we love touring car racing. This is why we're here now, all around the world, to watch this race and to watch some of the best touring car drivers on the planet show us how to drive these sedate-looking family sedans at the absolute limit of adhesion. Fantastic, fantastic stuff. And so far, it is Jan Elishay who's doing the best job of everybody, from Ted Bjork and Esteban Gurriere. Oh, what are we looking at here? That is quite the moment. See at the back of our shot a few drivers. That's Jan Elishay losing his right-hand side wing mirror. Janas, no need for that one no more. It's a bit of weight saving, isn't it? We're not going to be looking behind us, we're only going to be looking in front. Let's change the aerodynamic profile of that Lincoln Co. 03 FL TCR. Whatever he's doing, it's working very well indeed for Jan Aleshe at this moment in time. Unfortunately, Nacho Montenegro is our only retirement at this moment. We saw him leave the race very early in a spectacular moment for the GOAT Racing Honda. Hopefully that damage is not too significant, and we'll see Nacho Montenegro for the debut proper, shall we say, when we go racing again tomorrow afternoon. There is still a GOAT Racing car in this mix though, and that is that man Esteban Gurrieri climbing over the back of Aurelian Comp, the SP competition. Cooper Leon VZ TCR, one of the newer models in TCR racing. Proved to be a very, very competitive proposition indeed in international TCR racing. And Aurelian Comp, his first weekend for team and driver, is doing an absolutely fantastic job. There's a bit of a battle pack amongst our TCR Mexico competitors a little bit further down. Some of the walking wounded, it seems to be out on track. The Audi doing a really good job so far of holding everybody off. And that, of course, is the RE Motorsports number 12 car, Pablo Perez de Lara. I believe that is behind the wheel, just holding on as everybody tries to make their way back. It's not often you see sprint touring car racing around this circuit. It does require a changing mentality of the drivers. You're not looking at the long haul endurance, you're looking at the here and now. Well, let's have a look at this one as we fan almost 3 wide for the run down into T1. Everybody just about makes it through 4 now, and Esteban Gurrieri, Aurelian Comp and Marchingois are almost as one as well. Gurrieri hemorrhaging pace after that manoeuvre on Aurelian Comp. And that's the problem, isn't it? You make a pass, then you have to go almost immediately defensive. Aurelian trying to find a counter-attack. Marchingois very interested indeed in buying into this one, but Mar doesn't quite have a Lincoln Co-size gap in which to insert himself, and quite frankly, Aurelian Comp doesn't look particularly interested in defending that one. He's more keen on the rear of Esteban Gurrieri. Can't find a way past through the stadium though. Gurrieri, tyres are going to be starting to get well past their best, very, very wide through the final corner. That's going to compromise him a little bit for the run down the long, long back straight. Peril Tartan, of course, a very famous corner in motor racing terms. But on this occasion, it just about works out for Esteban Gurrieri. Mars got the body language of a driver that isn't going to stay there for very long, it has to be said. Has a little look, leaves the nose at the inside, more in sending a message to Aurelian Comp than anything else. It does seem to have worked, as the chicane wasn't the cleanest for the French driver. Let's take a look. This is the move that we just cut away from to see that manoeuvre. That's our TCR Mexico competitors all getting a little bit leery, kicking up some of the beautifully manicured grass here, and that is the move for position. That's how Esteban Gurrieri found his way past Aurelian Comp. Very, very surprised, I'm sure Aurelian will have been about that one. But what it does mean is we're going to have quite the squabble for 4th, 5th and 6th position at the dying moments of this race. 2 minutes 10 seconds plus 1 lap on the clock. Jan Aleshe with a very comfortable lead over Ted Bjork and Santiago Urrutia. 1, 2, 3 for Cyan Racing, Link and Co. Esteban Gurrieri, very under the radar, it has to be said, but a very impressive recovery drive indeed from the nightmare launch off the line for the Argentine driver. I think 4th coming into this race would have been disappointed, but after about 30 seconds of racing action, I think 4th, he'll be absolutely delighted. Gurrieri with this one, but Aurelian Comp not giving it up yet. The SP competition Cupra looking relatively flighty at this stage, a little bit more comfortable for the French driver than his Argentine compatriot. Marchingois doesn't quite have the pace to get involved just yet further back, but he's keeping a watching brief. Is Mar, just to see if an opportunity presents itself, and touring car racing, I dare say an opportunity will present itself before too long. A little bit of traffic getting out of the way there. That is heads, I think it is, in the number 7 machine. So a good bit of driving to make sure it doesn't impede any of our front runners. It's the last thing you want to do as a driver being lapped, is cause any kind of dramas to the front running cars. It's a wide circuit here in Mexico, of course, plenty of opportunity to get out of the way without too much drama, and that's exactly what we've seen as you were at the front of the pack. Santiago Arruti is still pushing very hard indeed. Esteban Gurrieri seems to have broken the challenge of Aurelien Comte somewhat, so that's good news for Gurrieri. Aurelien dropping a few car lengths back now, and if anything, I think Comte is going to be more interested in the challenge from Marcin-Hua behind than really trying to do much about Gurrieri up there in 4th position. Big shout out, of course, as well for Julio Rejon in 7th place, just ahead of brother Rodrigo, 7th and 8th place for the Pro Rally Mothers driving Cupras. They're having a fantastic race, it has to be said. Really, really impressive. Well inside the top 8 for both drivers. Michel Jourdain Jr. is in 9th position as well, so good stuff from Michel. It's been running very nicely indeed. As we head now onto the final lap of the first race of the weekend in the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour. The front of the field, it does very much look like it is job done, but the real focus now is on this man Marcin-Hua, and that is last of the late breakers. Aurelien Comte did not see that one coming in a month or Sundays. Mar does well to get the car slowed down. He's vulnerable though on exit. This is an opportunity now for Aurelien Comte to scramble his way back through. Let's take another look at this one. Traffic just unsighted the French driver. Mar very, very late on the brakes, has to snatch a brake as well just to get the car slowed down, makes himself a little bit vulnerable on corner exit, but Aurelien Comte caught napping by that one. The level of the World Tour is very, very high indeed, and Aurelien will not like to look back on that at all. In fact, actually, he's managed to sneak his way back past Marcin-Hua. Brilliant tenacity from Aurelien Comte, not giving up at all in his fight for position. So this one's going to continue all the way down to the line. We're on the final lap of the race, of course, and Aurelien really introduced himself back onto the world stage again. SP competition as well, massively impressive from both of these competitors. Marcin-Hua running out of opportunities now. He'll try and line it up for a dive down in the final few corners, but while they're desperately trying to sort this out amongst themselves, at the front of the field, Jan Elysée is looking very pretty indeed. 3.1 seconds to Ted Bjork. Nothing to do now but bring this car home on the final lap. Can their teammate Marcin-Hua though? Can he find another position? Comte caught out of this corner on the last lap, goes defensive a little bit earlier. Mar really struggling to get that car slowed down. He's going to concentrate now on minimum apex speed for Marcin-Hua. Nice and neat through the chicane. If he can do this one, then the Chinese driver does have an opportunity with the slipstream to find a way past Aurelien Comte. We'll find out if that one has been successful as we check in on our champion, reigning champion Norbert Michaelis. We've not seen what's happened, but some kind of drama has befallen Norby. He's a little bit further down the running order, was in contention for that top 10. It's been a day to forget for Norbert Michaelis, it has to be said. Not good in qualifying, not quick in practice, and the race just not falling the Hungarian driver's way. Certainly not falling the way that it has done for this man Jan Elysée. Only one mirror on the Lincoln Co. You don't need a wing mirror to look forwards, says Jan Elysée. It's been a good start. And a nice squabble and a very audacious overtaking attempt on his teammate. This has been a race won absolutely the hard way for Jan Elysée. A mix of pace, a mix of consistency, and a mix of aggression. And for the first time in 2025, we have a Kumho FIA TCR World Tour winner, and that winner is Jan Elysée, making a 1-2-3 for Lincoln Co. Cyan Racing. Ted Bjork crosses the line in second place. Santiago Arruti rounds out the podium finishers. Esteban Gurrieri will be fourth from Aurelien Comte, both impressive drives from those drivers. Marcin-Hua is sixth, and then Julio Rejon will be crossing the line in seventh position, just ahead of Michel Jourdain Jr., and then Rodrigo Rejon in ninth. Mikel Azcona leads the charge of the BRC Hyundai crew, 10th position for the Spaniard, just ahead of Bebu Girolami, 10th position, and what will be pole for race number 2, barring penalisations and changes of course. That's a little bit of drama on the final lap as well. That was the smoking and struggling RE Motorsports car of Hareya Shiragut. They've made it over the line, thankfully. In fact, no, they haven't made it over the line, so that's a last lap DNF for Shiragut. That's a real shame, so close to the end of the race. car. That Audi didn't look healthy. Unfortunately, the end result is a DNF. But for the World Tour contingent, everybody that's supposed to make it over the line has made it over the line. Mikulis down in 18th. We didn't see the dramas over the last couple of laps for our reigning champion, but for Norby, 18th and the flag will not be what the doctor ordered. That's not the game plan coming into this season. And what will make it even worse for Norby Mikulis is eternal rival Jan Elysée is the one that took the victory as well. These two were very much in the fight for the championship in the early stages of 2024 before Ted Bjork came on strong. Well, Ted, not leaving it as long this time, has come on very strong indeed in this first race of the day. There is Jan, taking the car round to the pit lane, to the Mini Park Fermé for the podium celebrations, and you've got to give it as well. Let's give a moment for Aurélien Comte, an SP competition. There is Aurélien, you can see that's John Philippe's machine. But her SP competition came into this one, stepped up from TCR Europe, and that team, the car, the drivers have looked absolutely a bona fide part of the World Tour paddock right from the very off. As we can check in with our reigning champion, and this may go some way, folks, to explaining why he's dropped down the running order, because that car looks rather stationary, and definitely not stationary at the part of the racetrack it's supposed to be. So Norby Mikulis, some kind of as yet undetermined problem has come a cropper on our reigning champion's car. Of course, check out TCR Series, hashtag Kumho FIA TCR World Tour on social media for all the news outside of the racing action and for all the stories and insight as well. It's not just what happens on track, there's plenty happening in the world of TCR, and I do implore you to check out our social channels to stay abreast of it all. But not before we watch this man celebrate his moment in the slightly hazy sunshine of Mexico. A relatively fatigued thumbs up for Jan Elysée. He knows he's done a good job, and more importantly, he knows that this is just the tip of the iceberg, just the very, very start of what is going to be, I feel, a bit of a comeback year for Jan Elysée. It tailed off more than the French driver would perhaps have enjoyed last season, but that was then, and this is now, and it's all about the here and now. And Jan Elysée and Lincoln Kosei Racing together have done an absolutely fantastic job. 20 laps in the books and a race victory to the tune of 3.5 seconds from teammate Ted Bjork, Santiago Urrutia in third. And then Esteban Gurrieri, great comeback drive from Gurrieri, aided somewhat, of course, by the safety car intervention, but take nothing away from that man, Jan Elysée. Trust me, he is a very, very fit athlete indeed. And you can see even with Jan, that's taking it out of him a little bit in these temperatures at this altitude as well, 2,200 meters above sea level. And Jan Elysée's really had a race with that for that one. First with teammate Urrutia, and then with Ted Bjork, who finished in second place. But before further ado, I think in a few moments' time, we're going to head down to Alex Legui, who's speaking to your race winner, Jan Elysée.
Well, here we have it, the winner of race 1 here in Mexico of the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour, Jan Elysée. What a race! You were mega off the line, and then, well, tell us what was going on there through that race.
I'm sorry, but mega off the line. No, I bugged at the start. We had a little issue since yesterday with the start. We can't make it right with a lucky one. Sometime you can start, but I bugged down. I lost the lead. But actually, we came back. The pace was really strong. I'm really happy about the car. Even in the dirty air, was a bit tough because, you know, we want to win as a team, so it's always a little bit complicated to fight between teammates. So we tried to make it the fairest way as possible, and I'm really happy about the start of the season. P2, win first race. I mean, so far so good, but season is very long.
I would love to have been a fly on the wall and been able to listen to your team radios. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to. So just talk us through, when you are tussling in the same way that you and Santi were through most of that, what is going on? What's the exchange going on between you and each other and the team? Imagine
like you have an argument with your husband, and you are driving a car at 250 kph. It's about the same, but at the end we always find a solution, and as a team we have been strong the past years, so we will still show a good pace, and it was a good battle with Santi. He will get it next time and stuff, so whatever. We are happy about the pace and the job. We are focused on ourselves this weekend. That's the most important thing.
Epic work. I'd love to have known which one was the husband and the wife. Well done, Jan. Julio Rejon, what a great race that was for you. Nice speech on the grid. You thought it was going to be a good race. How was it? I mean, that wasn't easy, was it? You had a lot of battles.
No, I mean, I was struggling with the tires. It's a new tire for us, and it's hard to get the temperature up. So at the first corner, I did a great start, but at the first corner, I completely lose control of the car. So yeah, really tough.
Talk to me about actually racing alongside the TCR World Tour drivers.
I mean, it's awesome because they push us to be better.
Good. And you're getting better.
Let's hope so.
Congratulations. Well done.
Fantastic stuff then. Our World Tour winner Jan Elishay and Julio Rejon, who did a fantastic job, 7th position in the race, absolutely on the money from the beginning. Really massive credit has to go to Julio Rejon and the Pro Rally Mothers squad for such a strong weekend. It's not easy racing against these Kumho FIA TCR World Tour drivers. He's done very well indeed. Let's have a look then at our provisional round 1 results. It's Jan Elishay, Ted Bjork and Santiago Urrutia for an all Lincoln Co podium. Esteban Gurrieri, Aurelien Comte are 4th and 5th after a fantastic fight with Marc Jinhua in 6th position, Julio Rejon, Rodrigo Rejon, Michel Jourdain Jr. in the 7th, 8th and 9th positions. You'll notice Bebu Girolami in 11th. It wasn't quite enough for the Hyundai squad to make their comeback into the top 10. And then unfortunately, Nacho Montenegro, our first retirement of the day on his debut in the World Tour. There is more to come from the Argentinian driver of that. I am absolutely certain. Keep your eye out for Montenegro. He's going to be on the comeback. He'll be starting all the way down the running order. But it's game on from here. These are our provisional points, and after 1 race and qualification, it's Jan Elishay, 5 points ahead of Esteban Gurrieri. 7 points back is Ted Bjork, and then 14 points back is the 4th place finisher. Okay then, we're going to have a quick look at our highlights from the race that you've just watched. Let's take a look. So there we go then. That is a highlight from the first race of 3 this weekend as our podium drivers now head up to receive their accolades. And I can guarantee these drivers know they've had a very, very hard day's work. Santiago Urrutia there on the bottom step of the podium. The delighted Ted Bjork, such a placid, such a mild-mannered person, but absolutely adores his motor racing, does Ted. And then there is Jan Elishay. We've seen plenty of Jan on the top step of the podium in the past. And we're going to see plenty more as well. Commanding performance from Jan Elishay there. Really, really strong drive, and he'll be delighted with that one. Let's see Lincoln Co. Cyan Racing take their place on the podium as well as the winning team. And there is Julio Rejon. Absolutely delighted with his performance as well as the first of our regular Mexican runners. Before too long, it'll be time for the national anthems. For our winning driver, the French national anthem, of course, for Yann Alessi, having taken a very, very hard-fought race victory and a fantastic performance to boot as well.
And now for the trophies. Presenting the third position trophy, Mr. Fer Urquiza, driver and content creator, is presenting the third position trophy to Santi Urrutia.
There we go then. Fer Urquiza, driver and content creator. Third position trophy there for Santiago Urrutia. Santi will be delighted with that one. I am absolutely sure. Even more delighted there as he receives a second trophy. Fantastic stuff.
Will be presenting the second position trophy driver trophy to Ted Bjork.
In second position is Ted Bjork. Enrique Limon, General Commercial Director from Rentable, has been bestowed the honour of giving the trophy to Ted. Looks very, very happy indeed. 2 trophies for the collection there.
To Ted Bjork.
Beautiful, beautiful trophies. Bit of confusion actually. Ted doesn't know if he should have 1 or 2. Have 2, Ted. You're a racing driver. Take a trophy. Take every single one. Even if it's not yours, have it. It looks good on the mantelpiece. Keep bringing them, says Ted Bjork.
Mr. Gerardo
Fantastic
Rejon,
stuff.
the president of TCR Mexico,
And then let's have
will
a
present
look
the winning trophy
at our race
to Yann
winning trophy.
Alessi.
Yann Alessi, Gerardo Rejon, president of TCR Mexico, gives that beautiful Kumho FIA TCR World Tour Winners' Trophy, worth more than the sum of its parts to these drivers. That's exactly what they do their career for these moments in time.
Jimmy Jones.
These victories, these opportunities.
Representative
Gerardo Rejon
of
again,
Lincoln Co.
president
Cyan
of TCR
Racing.
Mexico. Awards the team trophy to Lincoln Co. Cyan Racing. Fantastic performance again from the team.
And
Absolutely
Mr. Gerardo,
on the
if you
money
would be
here in
kind
Mexico.
enough to present our best Mexican driver trophy to Julio Rejon.
Julio Rejon receives his trophy as the first of the TCR Mexico runners across the line. And Julio as well, 7th position, let's not forget, in the overall running order.
With your trophies.
In a very, very nice spot indeed for race 2 tomorrow afternoon. Family photo time before we all get wet and sticky with the champagne. It must be an horrendous job having to kind of clean those suits before the following race. I'm sure I wouldn't be too enthusiastic about that one, I must say. Smiles for the cameras, for our drivers, and then in time-honoured fashion, get something a little bit fizzy.
Grab your bottles.
And spray it all over each other in celebration.
Party.
Jimmy Jones gets straight off the podium, doesn't want any of that action. And despite the heat of the temperature of the day and the heat and the temperature on the racetrack, it's been a great podium. That's our driver's points once again. My reminder to you, on Saturday at 17:10 UTC is when we go racing again. I certainly enjoyed that one. I hope you did. We'll have you back on again tomorrow afternoon, 17:10 UTC, TCR TV on YouTube. It's a great place to come back again. In fact, actually, I'm just I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, that excited about tomorrow. I almost forgot we've got a podium for our TCR Mexico drivers. My apologies, ladies and gents. Got a little bit overexciting. Let's have a look at the points then on our screen for a few moments' time. 7 points covering our top 3. It's all going to change tomorrow. Don't worry too much about it. We've still got 2 races to go. Isn't that great? An extra one bolted on. Extra value for money for us all. 3 races this weekend, starting again tomorrow at 17:10. UTC, Saturday the 3rd of May. Of course, as always, live and exclusive on the TCR TV YouTube channel. If you don't follow us on there, give us a follow, because there's lots of great touring car racing. We're just waiting for our TCR Mexico drivers to come and join us on the podium. Gives us a great opportunity to have a look at this beautiful Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez circuit. Fantastic to be here, and I want to take the opportunity as well to offer a big thank you to our TCR Mexico, the staff behind the scenes, the organisation, the drivers, the teams. It's been a wonderful welcome for the World Tour here in Mexico. Everybody's shown so much grace, so much warmth and so much hospitality. It's absolutely fabulous to be joining the Mexico field this weekend. And of course, that's one of the great things about the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour. We get to join so many exciting championships around the world, give their drivers an opportunity to race on the world stage, and give us an opportunity to make new friends. Who was it that once said it? I came here for the motor racing, I stay for the people. And that's exactly what we've seen in the 3 years that the World Tour's been in operation. We've met some incredible people, we've had some incredible adventures, and we've had some sensational on-track racing, and it's an absolute honour and a pleasure to be here alongside TCR Mexico this weekend as they put a great show in front of their home fans. Be even better if they put a great show on the podium, but there's still a bit of conversation going on behind the scenes as Lincoln & Co. are deciding who gets to hold the trophy. Well, I've got to go and get the spanners and get these cars ready for race number 2 tomorrow. I think that's the big thing. And that's the thing, because we've got so much action so quickly around each other, you don't have time to celebrate, because you've got 5 minutes to bask in the glory of the moment. And then it's all about the prep. It's all about getting ready to go racing again tomorrow, because points, they're very hard to come by. Doesn't sound like a lot, does it? It's arbitrary. I'll give you some points. Sounds simple, doesn't it? But doing what you need to do to secure those points is incredibly difficult indeed for these drivers. And it's a full team effort. It's not just the driver, it's their physio, their driving coach, their data engineer, their number 1 mechanic, the team behind the scenes, not just the team that comes to the racetrack, but at the factory as well, that build these cars, that agree the commercial deals, that put the package together, that allow the drivers to go ready. It's a full-on process. And speaking of a full-on process, we are now ready for the TCR Mexico podium.
Y premia el
Big
director
celebrations
general
all around.
comercial
Rodrigo
de
Rejon
Rentable, Enrique Limón.
in second position, Michel Jourdain Jr. in third, and Julio Regon, of course, is the fastest of our drivers.
Y el primerísimo lugar, Julio
The
Rejon.
Peralta racing driver.
Premia el presidente de la TCR México, Gerardo Rejon.
Onto the podium, Julio Rejon, our race winner. Michel Jourdain Jr., of course, former
Fotografía al frente,
WTCC
por
driver
favor,
back
y
in 2007.
team
Also,
owner.
Champ Car,
Premia
or IndyCar, as it's now
Gerardo
called, twice
Urquiza,
race winner.
piloto
So
y
it's
también
fantastic to see
creador de
Michel Jourdain
contenido,
Jr. still at
Fernando
48 years old,
Urquiza.
going very strong indeed, and definitely looks well for his age, doesn't he? Very much an athlete still, and still performing at a very, very high level. TCR
Foto,
Mexico
por favor,
drivers,
en el
family
primer podium.
photo time, having their opportunity in front of the big
Prensa
sponsor
al
board.
frente, redes sociales.
Be a big moment for all of these drivers, of course. And while they're doing that one, I'll try again. I am going to say goodbye now. So, from myself, Paul Jeffrey, my colleague Alex Legui, and everybody involved behind the scenes, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you all again tomorrow at 17:10 UTC on the TCR TV YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Until next time, have a great rest of your day. Take care and goodbye.